The mining station floated silently in the asteroid belt, its dark hull absorbing starlight like a hungry void. Maria Santos pressed her palm against the cool metal wall and felt the gentle vibration of the quantum engines that kept humanity's greatest secret hidden from the galaxy. For 200 years, her people had lived in the shadows between stars, while alien civilizations believed Earth held all of mankind. She walked through corridors that hummed with advanced technology the galaxy had never seen. Neurobiological computers processed data at impossible speeds, while quantum shields bent light around entire fleets. The irony never escaped her that while aliens thought humans were primitive creatures barely capable of spaceflight, humanity had surpassed most galactic civilizations in every meaningful way. "Commander Santos, we have movement on the trade routes," Lieutenant Barnes called from the sensor station. His fingers danced across holographic displays that showed shipping lanes crisscrossing the local star systems. Red dots moved in formation, patterns that made Maria's stomach tighten with worry. The view screen flickered to life, showing dozens of alien vessels converging from multiple directions. These weren't the usual merchant ships that carried goods between worlds. The sleek hulls and weapon arrays marked them as military craft from at least 6 different species. Maria had spent 15 years studying alien warfare patterns, and this looked like preparation for something big. "Run silent protocols," she ordered. The station's already minimal energy signature dropped to nearly nothing. Around them, the asteroid field provided perfect camouflage for humanity's hidden observers. The aliens had no idea that human eyes had been watching their every move for generations. Maria remembered her grandfather's stories about the early days when humanity first discovered faster-than-light travel. The breakthrough had come not from copying alien technology, but from combining quantum mechanics with biological neural networks in ways no other species had imagined. The first human ships had ventured beyond Earth, expecting to find friends among the stars. Instead, they found a galaxy divided into rigid hierarchies, where stronger species enslaved weaker ones. The Galactic Confederation spoke of peace and cooperation, but their actions told a different story. Entire civilizations had been wiped out for possessing resources the dominant species wanted. Others had been reduced to slave labor, their world stripped bare to feed the endless hunger of their conquerors. The human explorers had made a choice that would define their species' future. They returned to Earth and shared their discoveries with the newly formed Terran Shadow Council. If the galaxy saw strength as the only virtue worth respecting, then humanity would become strong in secret. They would learn everything about their potential enemies while revealing nothing about themselves. "Ma'am, we're picking up encrypted communications between the fleets," Barnes reported. His translation software worked through the complex alien languages, converting clicks, whistles, and harmonics into readable text. "They're coordinating some kind of joint operation. Multiple species working together on something they're calling Project Cleanslash." Maria felt ice form in her veins. Joint operations between alien species were rare. Their natural arrogance and territorial instincts usually prevented meaningful cooperation. For them to work together meant they faced something they considered a serious threat. The decades of careful planning suddenly made sense. Human colonies had been established in systems the aliens considered worthless or too dangerous to explore. Generation ships had carried millions of people to worlds hidden behind gas giants or tucked into nebulae where sensors couldn't penetrate. Each settlement had been built with advanced stealth technology that made them invisible to conventional detection methods. Entire research facilities orbited dead stars where alien ships never traveled. There, human scientists had captured alien technology and improved it beyond recognition. Weapons that could punch through any known shielding, engines that could cross galactic distances in days rather than months, medical technology that had extended human lifespans to nearly 2 centuries. "Commander, I'm reading massive fleet buildups in 12 different systems, Barnes continued. They're moving resources like they're preparing for a major war. Maria activated her personal communicator and sent an encrypted burst transmission toward the hidden relay stations scattered throughout human space. The message would reach the Shadow Council within hours, carried by quantum entanglement networks that operated outside normal space-time. The aliens had no technology that could detect or intercept these communications. She thought about the human agents working within alien society, men and women who had undergone surgical and genetic modifications to pass as members of other species. They worked as traders, diplomats, and even military advisors, gathering intelligence and subtly influencing alien decisions. Ambassador Thane Whitlock had spent 40 years playing the role of humanity's naive representative, while secretly coordinating the greatest intelligence operation in galactic history. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species that had barely managed to crawl off their home world. Earth's official government played their part perfectly, presenting humanity as struggling farmers and miners who could offer nothing more than raw materials and manual labor. Meanwhile, the real human civilization had grown into a power that could challenge the entire galaxy. "Ma'am, we're getting reports from other monitoring stations," Barnes said. "Similar fleet movements across 15 sectors. Whatever they're planning, it's galaxy-wide." Maria nodded and began composing her full report. The Shadow Council would need complete data to make the decisions that would shape humanity's future. They had always known this day would come. The question was whether 2 centuries of secret preparation would be enough. Outside the viewports, alien warships continued their mysterious convergence. Their crews believed they were the apex predators of the galaxy, evolved through millions of years of conquest and domination. They had no concept that the small blue world they dismissed as irrelevant had given birth to something that would soon challenge everything they thought they knew about power. The quantum engines hummed their silent song as the mining station maintained its perfect disguise. Maria Santos watched the gathering storm and wondered if her children would inherit a galaxy where humanity could finally step out of the shadows, or if they would spend their lives hiding among the asteroids while their enemies searched for phantoms they would never find. The great game was about to begin, and humanity held cards that no other player knew existed. The crystal towers of Centralis Prime reached toward the star-filled sky like frozen lightning. Ambassador Thane Whitlock adjusted his formal robes and tried to look appropriately humble as he walked through corridors filled with beings who could crush him with their bare hands. For 40 years, he had perfected the art of appearing weak while gathering the intelligence that kept humanity alive. The emergency session had been called with unprecedented speed. Representatives from all 12 dominant species of the Galactic Confederation had arrived within days, their fleets darkening the space around the capital world. Thane had never seen such military presence during a diplomatic gathering, and his enhanced neural implants were already recording everything for transmission to the Shadow Council. Supreme Chancellor Voltanis dominated the central platform with his massive reptilian frame. The sword leader's scales shifted from deep green to aggressive red as he addressed the assembly. His voice carried the authority of a species that had conquered 40 star systems before most others had achieved spaceflight. "Fellow beings of the Confederation," Voltanis began, his words translated into dozens of languages simultaneously. "We face a threat unlike any we have encountered in our glorious history. For months, our trade routes have been disrupted by an unknown force. Our research facilities have been infiltrated. Our technology has been stolen." Thane maintained his expression of confused concern while internally cataloging every detail. The aliens had finally noticed the careful intelligence gathering that humanity had conducted for generations. What they interpreted as theft and sabotage was actually the methodical study of their weaknesses and capabilities. "Our combined investigation has revealed disturbing evidence," the Chancellor continued. "This mysterious enemy operates with technology we cannot fully comprehend. They appear and vanish without trace. They know our patrol schedules, our defensive positions, and our most classified information. The assembly erupted in angry chittering, roaring, and harmonic vibrations as each species expressed outrage in their own way. Thane watched the insectoid delegates' compound eyes flash with fury while the crystalline representatives resonated with frequencies that made the air itself hum with menace. Ambassador Kess of the Aquatic Dominion raised a webbed hand for attention. Her translator rendered her clicks and whistles into smooth speech. Have we identified the source of these attacks? Do we know which system harbors these criminals? Voltanis smiled, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Our analysis indicates they operate from hidden bases scattered throughout the galaxy. They have no single home world we can target. This suggests a civilization that has evolved specifically for stealth and deception. Thane felt a chill run through his enhanced nervous system. The aliens were closer to the truth than he had hoped, yet still completely wrong about humanity's nature. They saw secrecy and careful planning as signs of cowardice rather than wisdom. Therefore, Voltanis announced, the Confederation votes to declare total war against this phantom menace. We will mobilize every ship, every soldier, and every resource, until we have eliminated this threat to galactic civilization. The vote was unanimous. 12 species representing thousands of worlds and trillions of beings had just declared war on humanity without knowing it. Thane voted along with them, playing his role as the representative of primitive Earth while his cybernetic implants transmitted encrypted data through quantum channels. Now we must assign roles for the coming campaign, Voltanis continued. Each member world will contribute according to their capabilities. His gaze fell on Thane, with something approaching pity. The primitive humans of Earth will provide basic resources and manual labor for our war effort. Their limited technology makes them unsuitable for direct combat, but even the weakest can serve the cause of galactic justice. Several delegates made sounds that Thane's translator interpreted as condescending laughter. To them, humanity represented everything pathetic about lesser species struggling to survive in a galaxy dominated by their betters. They had no concept that the primitive humans they dismissed had already surpassed most of their achievements. Thane bowed deeply, as expected from a representative of an inferior species. The people of Earth are honored to serve the Confederation. In any capacity we can manage, he said, injecting just the right amount of grateful submissiveness into his voice. After the session, Thane walked through the diplomatic quarter where representatives from dozens of species maintained embassies and trade offices. The buildings reflected the arrogance of their occupants, each trying to outdo the others in displays of wealth and power. Golden spires, floating platforms, and buildings that defied gravity showed off technologies that the aliens believed made them superior to everyone else. In his modest embassy, Thane activated privacy shields that would defeat any alien surveillance technology. His fingers moved across a communication panel that connected to quantum relays hidden throughout human space. The encryption was so advanced that even if the aliens intercepted the transmission, they would assume it was random stellar radiation. Priority transmission to Shadow Council Command, he spoke into the recorder. The Confederation has declared total war against humanity, without realizing it. They believe they face an unknown enemy operating from hidden bases. Their investigation has revealed that we have been gathering intelligence on their operations, but they interpret this as theft and sabotage rather than defensive preparation. He paused, considering the implications of what he had witnessed. Their military mobilization is extensive, but predictable. They are following standard Confederation doctrine, which assumes their enemy will fight using conventional tactics. They have no concept of the asymmetric warfare capabilities we have developed. The most important revelation came next. Supreme Chancellor Voltanis specifically mentioned that the enemy operates from scattered hidden bases, with no single homeworld to target. This suggests they have not yet realized that Earth is connected to the intelligence operations they have detected. Our cover remains intact. Thane ended the transmission and began preparing his official report as Earth's ambassador. He would recommend that his primitive people provide the resources the Confederation demanded, while secretly preparing for the war that would determine the future of galactic civilization. Outside his window, alien warships moved through Centralist Prime's orbital traffic like metal predators, hunting for prey. Their crews believed they were the apex of evolution, perfected through countless generations of conquest and domination. Soon they would learn that intelligence and patience could triumph over brute force and arrogance. The galaxy was about to discover that the species they had dismissed as insignificant farmers had become something far more dangerous than any enemy they had ever faced. Deep in the void between star systems, Admiral Rebecca Cross studied the holographic display that showed her the greatest military force humanity had ever assembled. The mobile command station Prometheus drifted through dark space like a technological ghost, its quantum engines producing no detectable signature, while its sensors reached across dozens of light years. 300 ships hung in perfect formation around the command platform, their stealth systems bending light and gravity to make them invisible to any known detection method. Each vessel represented decades of secret development, combining technologies that the galaxy's dominant species had never imagined possible. "Admiral, we have confirmation from all sector commanders," reported Captain Williams from the tactical station. "Our agents report massive alien fleet movements in 16 systems. They're following standard Confederation search patterns, which means they have no idea where to actually look." Rebecca nodded, watching as intelligence updates flowed across her screens. The Shadow Council's decision had been unanimous. Rather than reveal humanity's true strength immediately, they would wage a war of misdirection and carefully calculated strikes. The aliens would exhaust themselves fighting phantoms, while humanity protected its hidden colonies and slowly revealed its capabilities. The first phase was already underway. Human intelligence operatives embedded within alien military structures had begun feeding false information to Confederation commanders. Fake sensor readings lead entire fleets toward empty systems while genuine human installations remained perfectly hidden behind advanced shielding technology. "Prometheus Control to Strike Team Alpha," Rebecca spoke into her communicator. "Ryan, you have authorization to proceed with Operation Whisper." On the other side of the galaxy, infiltration specialist Ryan Torres crouched in the maintenance tunnels beneath a sordid military complex. His enhanced biology had been modified to match alien environmental requirements. While his equipment was designed to appear as standard maintenance tools to any casual observer, the facility housed the Confederation's primary logistics computer, responsible for coordinating supply lines across 12 different species military forces. Ryan's mission was to introduce subtle errors into their data systems. Nothing dramatic enough to raise immediate suspicion, but sufficient to cause delays and confusion when their fleets needed resources most. His fingers worked with practiced precision as he connected his infiltration device to the alien network. The human-designed virus would spread through their systems like a whisper, changing shipping schedules by hours, redirecting supply convoys to less efficient routes, and introducing tiny calculation errors into fuel consumption projections. Meanwhile, on the hidden world of Haven Prime, engineer Nina Petrov oversaw the rapid construction of defensive installations that would have seemed impossible to alien science. Automated factories carved tunnels through solid rock, while quantum assemblers built weapons platforms that could engage targets across entire star systems. "Nina, we need the Meridian defense grid online within 48 hours, came the message from Prometheus Command. "Intelligence suggests the Confederation is planning to probe the outer territories." Nina smiled as she watched her construction drones work with efficiency that no alien species could match. The entire planet would be converted into a fortress that could defend itself against a dozen battle fleets. Yet to any passing alien scout, Haven Prime would appear to be nothing more than a barren rock orbiting a dying star. The key to humanity's Defensive strategy lay in understanding how their enemies thought. The Confederation operated on principles of overwhelming force and direct confrontation. They assumed that any civilization capable of military resistance would fight using massive fleets in open space battles. Human doctrine had evolved in the opposite direction. Every installation was hidden, every ship was stealthed, and every operation was designed to leave no trace of human involvement. The aliens would find themselves fighting an enemy that existed everywhere and nowhere, striking without warning and vanishing before retaliation was possible. Intelligence analyst David Kinn sat in his secure facility reviewing intercepts from alien communications networks. What he discovered there made him immediately contact Admiral Cross with a priority transmission. "Admiral, I've uncovered something disturbing in the Confederation command structure," David reported. "This isn't just about eliminating the threat they've detected. They're using the war as justification for a massive expansion program." The data painted a terrifying picture. While publicly declaring their intention to protect galactic civilization, the Confederation leadership was secretly planning to use their mobilized fleets to subjugate the remaining independent worlds. Species that had managed to avoid domination would be conquered under the pretense of preventing them from aiding the mysterious enemy. "They're planning to hit over 200 independent systems," David continued, "including some that have never had any contact with our operations. This is genocide disguised as self-defense." Rebecca felt anger surge through her enhanced nervous system. The aliens weren't just declaring war on humanity, they were preparing to eliminate any species that might someday challenge their dominance. The Confederation had revealed its true nature as a predatory alliance that viewed the galaxy as their rightful property. "Transmit this intelligence to all sector commanders," she ordered. "The mission parameters have changed. We're not just protecting human colonies anymore. We're fighting for the freedom of every independent civilization in the galaxy." The first direct engagement came 3 days later, when a Confederation patrol squadron detected what they thought was a smuggler's ship near the edge of human space. The vessel appeared to be a standard freighter, its hull scarred by years of interstellar travel, and its energy signature barely above minimum operational levels. The alien commander, a proud insectoid warrior named Click, ordered his 4 heavy cruisers to surround the suspicious vessel. His species had dominated their home system for millennia, through superior firepower and ruthless efficiency. This would be a simple matter of capturing or destroying another inferior ship. "Unknown vessel, you are ordered to submit to boarding and inspection," Click transmitted. "Resistance will result in your immediate destruction." The response came as a burst of coherent energy that passed through the insectoid shields as if they didn't exist. The lead cruiser's hull split apart like paper, its reactor containment failing in a cascade of exotic particles that no alien physicist could have predicted. Before Click could even process what had happened, 3 more energy bursts eliminated his remaining ships with surgical precision. The weapons that destroyed his squadron operated on principles that violated everything the Confederation knew about physics and engineering. The mysterious freighter vanished without leaving any trace of how its technology worked or where it had come from. Click's final transmission, automatically recorded by Confederation monitoring stations, consisted of a single word, repeated in growing panic: "Impossible, impossible, impossible." News of the engagement spread through alien command networks within hours. An entire patrol squadron had been eliminated by a single vessel that appeared to be nothing more than a civilian transport. The implications terrified military planners who had never encountered an enemy that could make their most advanced weapons seem primitive. Rebecca received the combat report with satisfaction. The engagement had been perfectly executed, demonstrating capabilities that would shake alien confidence while providing no useful intelligence about human technology or tactics. The secret war had begun in earnest, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Confederation Command Center on Military Station had never seen panic like this before. Fleet Commander Torres materialized from quantum shadows as his strike team's stealth suits deactivated, revealing 12 humans standing among the alien military officers who had been planning genocide just moments earlier. "Nobody move," Torres said calmly, his translation device rendering his words into a dozen alien languages simultaneously. "We're here for information, not blood, but we'll settle for either." The insectoid duty officer reached for his plasma weapon with reflexes honed by millions of years of evolution. Torres moved faster, his enhanced muscles and neural implants giving him reaction times that made the alien look like he was moving through thick liquid. The officer found himself on the floor with his weapon dismantled before his compound eyes could track the human's motion. "Commander, we have complete access to their strategic database," reported Sergeant Lopez, as she interfaced directly with the alien computer systems. Her cybernetic implants could process information faster than any organic brain, and the Confederation's encryption was laughably primitive compared to human quantum security protocols. What they found in the alien files exceeded their worst expectations. Project Cleanslash wasn't just about eliminating the mysterious threat that had been disrupting their operations. The Confederation had been planning a galaxy-wide conquest operation for decades, waiting only for the right excuse to begin systematic extermination of independent civilizations. "My God," whispered Corporal Hayes as she reviewed the target lists. "They're planning to hit everything. The peaceful trade worlds, the isolated research colonies, even the primitive agricultural planets that couldn't threaten anyone." Torres felt cold fury settle in his chest as he read through the operational plans. The aliens had identified over 300 independent worlds to be pacified during their campaign against the phantom enemy. Billions of beings would die or be enslaved, their crime being nothing more than existing outside Confederation control. "Download everything," he ordered. "The galaxy needs to know what these creatures really are." Across human space, Dr. Sarah Chen coordinated the most ambitious psychological warfare operation in galactic history. From hidden transmission stations scattered throughout dozens of star systems, she began broadcasting messages that would shatter the Confederation's carefully constructed image of benevolent leadership. The broadcasts began simultaneously on thousands of frequencies, penetrating every major alien communication network with technology that their security systems couldn't block or trace. The messages were simple, delivered in perfect translations of every known galactic language. "Citizens of the galaxy," Sarah's voice echoed through alien homes, military bases, and government centers across hundreds of worlds. "You have been told that your leaders fight to protect you from a mysterious enemy. The truth is different. Your governments have declared war on the human species of Earth, not because we threaten you, but because we have grown beyond their ability to control." The revelation sent shockwaves through alien society. The primitive humans that everyone dismissed as harmless farmers were claiming responsibility for the Phantom attacks that had terrorized the Confederation's military forces. "For 2 centuries, we have watched your civilizations from the shadows," the broadcast continued. "We have studied your technologies, learned your languages, and mapped your weaknesses. We know which of your leaders are corrupt, which of your military officers are incompetent, and which of your worlds are ready for revolution." The psychological impact was devastating. Every alien who had ever wondered why their government seemed to know so little about the enemy they were fighting suddenly understood that they had been observed and analyzed by a species they had never taken seriously. But Sarah's masterstroke came in the evidence she presented. Using intelligence gathered by Torres' team and hundreds of other covert operations, she broadcast the complete details of Project Cleanslash to every corner of the galaxy. "Your leaders tell you they fight for your protection," she announced. "Here are their real plans." The data streams that followed contained ship deployment schedules, target lists, and operational orders that proved beyond any doubt that the Confederation intended to use the war as cover for the largest genocide in galactic history. Independent worlds that had never heard of humans found themselves on extermination lists alongside peaceful species that had coexisted with the Confederation for millennia. The reaction was immediate and explosive. On 17 different worlds, alien populations rose in revolt against governments that had been preparing to murder their neighbors. 3 entire species withdrew from the Confederation, taking their fleets and resources with them as they desperately tried to avoid association with the planned atrocities. The Aquatic Dominion's ruling council voted to open secret negotiations with the humans, recognizing that their own survival might depend on switching sides before it was too late. The Crystalline Collective began jamming Confederation military communications, claiming technical difficulties while actually providing intelligence to human operatives. Supreme Chancellor Voltanus watched his alliance crumble as species after species questioned the war they had been told was necessary for their survival. His emergency session on Centralis Prime drew only half the representatives who should have attended, and those who came demanded explanations he couldn't provide. "How did they obtain our classified operational plans?" demanded Ambassador Kess of the Aquatic Dominion. "How do these primitive humans know details that were shared only among the highest levels of our military command?" Voltanus felt his scales flush with embarrassment as he realized the answer. For decades, possibly centuries, human agents had been embedded within every level of Confederation society. The species they had dismissed as insignificant had been conducting the most sophisticated intelligence operation in galactic history. "We underestimated them," he finally admitted. "But that mistake will not be repeated. I am authorizing the deployment of our most advanced battle fleets to eliminate the human home system. Even if they have hidden colonies elsewhere, destroying Earth will break their spirit." It was exactly the response Sarah Chen had predicted. The remaining Confederation hardliners would attempt one massive strike against what they believed was humanity's emotional and strategic center. They had no concept that Earth, while important to human culture, was just one of hundreds of worlds that could serve as the center of human civilization. The trap was set. Admiral Rebecca Cross received confirmation that 75% of the Confederation's remaining battle fleet was converging on Earth's solar system. They expected to find a primitive world defended by obsolete weapons and desperate farmers. Instead, they would encounter the full might of humanity's hidden military forces. Finally revealed after 2 centuries of careful preparation, the aliens were about to learn that the species they had dismissed as harmless was capable of matching their combined fleets ship for ship. But more importantly, they would discover that humans fought not just for conquest or survival, but for principles that no amount of firepower could destroy. The battle for Earth would become a demonstration of what happened when intelligence and determination faced arrogance and brutality. The galaxy held its breath as 2 very different concepts of civilization prepared for the confrontation that would determine the future of every species among the stars. General Patricia Hayes stood in the command center of Nexus Station, a massive structure hidden within the Veil Nebula that served as humanity's ultimate military headquarters. Around her, holographic displays showed the positions of human fleets, scattered throughout the galaxy, each one invisible to alien sensors and ready to strike at targets the enemy would never expect. The Confederation's attack on Earth had been massive and spectacular. Exactly as predicted, 75% of their remaining battle fleet had converged on humanity's home system, expecting to find a defenseless world protected by nothing more than primitive orbital platforms and desperate courage. Instead, they had encountered defensive systems that made their most advanced weapons seem like stone axes. Earth's hidden moon bases had revealed themselves as massive fortresses, while quantum mines materialized from empty space to devastate the alien formations. The battle had lasted 6 hours and ended with complete human victory, but more importantly, it had served as a perfect distraction. "General, all strike teams report ready for Operation Revelation," announced Colonel Martinez from the tactical station. We have simultaneous locks on every major Confederation military installation, government center, and fleet base in the galaxy. Patricia smiled as she reviewed the scope of humanity's true military capability. While the aliens had focused their attention on Earth, human forces had quietly positioned themselves to strike every significant target in Confederation space at exactly the same moment. It would be a demonstration of coordination and strategic thinking that would shatter any remaining illusions about human limitations. Execute Operation Revelation, she ordered. Show them what 2 centuries of preparation can accomplish. Across the galaxy, human ships decloaked from quantum stealth systems that had kept them hidden for decades, not dozens or hundreds of vessels, but thousands, each one incorporating technology that surpassed anything the Confederation had ever developed. On Militaris Prime, the Confederation's primary military academy found itself surrounded by a human fleet that had materialized from empty space. The base's defensive systems, considered impregnable by alien standards, were disabled within minutes by weapons that operated on principles their science couldn't comprehend. Admiral Harrison broadcast a message to the stunned alien defenders. This is Admiral Harrison of the Terran Defense Force. Your base is now under human control. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force, but we prefer to accept your surrender. Similar scenes played out across hundreds of star systems, as humanity revealed the true extent of their hidden empire. The aliens had spent months searching for phantom bases, while human installations had been operating openly in systems they considered too dangerous or worthless to explore. The psychological impact was even more devastating than the military one. Every alien species suddenly realized they had been living under constant observation by beings they had considered inferior. The humans knew their military capabilities, their political weaknesses, and their deepest fears because they had been studying them for generations. On Centralis Prime, Supreme Chancellor Voltanus received reports that defied everything he thought he knew about the universe. Human fleets were simultaneously attacking targets, separated by thousands of light years, coordinating their actions with precision that suggested instantaneous communication across galactic distances. How many ships do they have? He demanded from his military advisors. Conservative estimates suggest at least 12,000 combat vessels, reported his intelligence chief, her voice shaking with disbelief. But they're using technology we can't analyze. Some of their weapons appear to fire through dimensional barriers, while their defensive systems seem to bend the laws of physics. The truth was even more shocking than the estimates suggested. Humanity had built their military doctrine around the assumption that they would eventually face the combined forces of the entire galaxy. Every ship, every weapon, and every strategy had been designed to fight opponents who outnumbered them by millions to one. What the aliens saw as impossible technology was simply the result of approaching warfare from a completely different philosophical foundation, where they relied on brute force and numerical superiority. Humans had developed efficiency and precision that made every shot count. The final phase of Operation Revelation came when Ambassador Thane Whitlock stepped onto the floor of the Galactic Assembly and dropped his mask of subservience for the first time in 40 years. Gone was the humble representative of a primitive species, replaced by a being whose enhanced intelligence and decades of experience made him arguably the most knowledgeable diplomat in galactic history. Honored representatives, he began, his voice carrying new authority that made several alien delegates step backward involuntarily. I address you not as the ambassador of primitive Earth, but as the spokesperson for the Terran Federation, which encompasses 400 star systems and represents the most advanced civilization this galaxy has ever seen. The stunned silence that followed was broken only by the soft humming of translation devices struggling to process concepts that had no equivalent in most alien languages. For 2 centuries, We have observed your civilizations and found them wanting, Thane continued. You speak of strength while practicing weakness, of unity while plotting betrayal, of justice while planning genocide. Today, that changes. The terms humanity offered were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Rather than demanding tribute or enslaving the defeated species, humans proposed the establishment of a true cooperative government based on merit rather than military might. The new Galactic Federation would be governed by representatives chosen for their intelligence and moral character rather than their species' ability to build weapons. Trade would be based on mutual benefit rather than exploitation. Scientific knowledge would be shared freely rather than hoarded as a source of military advantage. Most revolutionary of all, the use of force to settle disputes between civilizations would be prohibited absolutely. Any species that attempted to conquer or enslave another would face the combined might of the entire Federation, with humanity serving as the ultimate guarantor of galactic peace. The response split along predictable lines. The younger, more adaptable species embraced the human vision with enthusiasm, recognizing it as their chance to escape domination by the traditional galactic powers. The older, more established civilizations resisted, unable to imagine a galaxy where strength wasn't the only virtue worth respecting. That resistance crumbled quickly when they realized the alternative. Humanity had demonstrated the ability to destroy the entire Confederation military structure within hours. Their choice was to join the new order or face extinction at the hands of beings who had surpassed them in every meaningful way. 5 years later, Patricia Hayes walked through the gardens of New Geneva, humanity's diplomatic capital established on a world that had once been a barren rock at the edge of known space. Around her, beings from dozens of species worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old system. A group of young crystalline scientists collaborated with human researchers on quantum communication technology. Insectoid engineers shared construction techniques with aquatic designers as they built underwater cities that could house multiple species. Former enemies learned to see each other as partners in the greatest experiment in galactic history. The transformation hadn't been without challenges. Several species had attempted to rebuild their military forces in secret, forcing humanity to demonstrate once again that their apparent restraint shouldn't be mistaken for weakness. But gradually, even the most aggressive cultures began to understand that cooperation offered greater rewards than conquest. Patricia paused, beside a fountain where alien children played games with human youngsters, their laughter translated by devices that turned clicks and whistles into universal joy. These children would grow up in a galaxy where intelligence and compassion were valued above brute strength, where exploration and discovery replaced exploitation and domination. Admiral Hayes called a familiar voice. She turned to see Dr. Sarah Chen approaching with a datapad in her hands, and excitement in her enhanced eyes. Our deep space monitoring stations are picking up something interesting, Sarah reported. Signals from beyond the galactic rim that suggest another civilization out there. One that might be even older and more advanced than anything we've encountered. Patricia felt the familiar thrill of discovery that had driven humanity to the stars in the first place. The galaxy they had worked so hard to unite and protect might be just the beginning of challenges and opportunities that stretched beyond imagination. Then we'd better make sure we're ready for them, she said, looking up at the star-filled sky where human ships maintained their eternal watch. But this time, we won't be hiding in the shadows. We'll meet them as the unified voice of galactic civilization. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning.